Good evening. My name is James Wallace, and this evening I'd like to talk a little bit about hunting and fishing. This is going to be the persuasion speech number 4. So, hunting and fishing go way back, hundreds, thousands of years. Our ancestors used to do it. It was a way of life. It was a way to provide for themselves and for their families. It was a means of survival. Nowadays, it's more of a sport than it is for survival. There's a lot of pros to hunting, and I'd like to go ahead and discuss some of those. The first pro that I have, as far as hunting and fishing go, animals tend to reproduce with far greater numbers than humans do. With those numbers, animals have a great impact on crops and a lot of other agricultural assets that we have and that we use. For instance, doves take a major toll out of the corn, wheat, and cotton growth in America. A lot of farmers have issues with that. They lose thousands and thousands of dollars a year to doves. Therefore, farmer will put on shoots during dove season to take out some of the doves and therefore save them money. It's controlling the population. That's the first pro, is controlling the population, no matter whether it be doves, ducks, deer, hogs. Hogs are very destructive animals as well. So we have to control the population in order to preserve our crops. Another pro that I have is wild game. Tends to be a lot better quality meat than meat that you buy from the grocery store. It's a lot leaner. It's a lot healthier for you. So getting out in the woods and hunting your own meat, processing your own meat, you know where it come from. You know what you've done to it to process it. You know what you've done to store it, and it's so much healthier for you than what you can get in the store. So that would definitely be number 2. Regulations are put in place to control what is hunted and when it's hunted. There are licenses and fees for state property. So all of that money that you pay to participate in hunting goes back to the state in order to preserve the wildlife that you're hunting, to give future generations the same opportunities that you were given to go out and enjoy nature and to harvest your own organic meat yourself, and to also feel like you've done your part in society to preserve crops stay here in America rather than us having to buy crops from overseas. It costs us more money. Some cons that you could look at as far as hunting, especially if you're an animal lover, and I can definitely understand it. You see these animals as sort of as pets, and I get that. And that could be a turnoff for some folks as far as not wanting to get out there and do that and say, well, how could you do that? And that's completely understandable. So that is a con to hunting, and that might prevent some people from doing it. Like I said, it's population control. You need to control the numbers and the population of specific animals that are out there, and you need to harvest the mature animals and it's actually a lot more ethical to do that. You think about it. I know we've all been there, or at least been close to it. Deer run across the road every day, more so during their peak season when they're running. Take out vehicles. There's been a couple instances where there have been fatalities due to it. You have people out in the woods hunting these deer, and it takes out the numbers, takes down the numbers. So whereas now you might have, in Houston County, you might have 6 deer-related accidents a year. Well, if there were not as many hunters out there hunting, the regulations changed or something of that nature, you could see a spike in that number, a drastic spike in that number. So that's another pro. Another con that I could see is, you need a place to go, and you need the equipment to go. You might look at it and say, well, I can go down to Publix or Kroger or Food Depot or wherever, and I can buy whatever meat I want to for this price. Versus whether you're going to go hunting, you're going to need the proper gear. You're going to need the proper hunting environment. So you're going to have to pay either licenses, lease fees for the property, and then of course you're going to need all your gear, your boots, your gun, your ammunition, and all that good stuff. So that could also be a turnoff. Why would I spend this money to do this? To go hunting and harvest my own meat when I can just go down the road here and buy it and stick it in the freezer. So, like I said, there's a few pros and there's a few cons, and it just all depends on your preference and your beliefs. But there is such a thing as good ethical hunting, and it's definitely encouraged by the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, and especially in the state of Georgia. That's all I have for you this evening. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.